would I do if I knew that I could not fail?
Hello, and welcome to Wake Up with Wendy, Discover the Magic of You. My name is Wendy Kaplan, host and guide into helping you find your gifts and talents so you can figure out how to use them to make the kind of difference that matters to you and helps the world in some small or big way. Many people reach a time in their lives when they start to ask themselves the question, is this all there is? Is this it? This time of inner restlessness happens to many people somewhere between the ages of 40 and 60. During this time, people reevaluate their personal and professional lives. Some people change their jobs and often entire careers. Some people wonder if they married the right person, and some people start whole new lives in some way. Are you someone who's looking for something more? Maybe you have a job that feels stale, or you've been laid off, or worried you might be soon, or wishing that someone would take you out of your misery and lay you off so you don't have to make the difficult decision yourself. Many of us are realizing there must be something more, and we feel an inner restlessness and discontent with a part of our life that doesn't feel quite satisfying enough. This may be the perfect time in your life for you to explore what might be next for you and do something about it. This show is to help you figure out what's next. Today, our guest is Lynn Rothstein. Lynn is a psychotherapist and an energy medicine practitioner, and she's going to tell us her story about how she made a shift in her life regarding her work. And as you listen to us talk, think about yourself and what changes our conversation inspires you to make in your life. Welcome, Lynn.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
I'm so glad you're here today.
Me too.
So tell us, start off by telling us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I have been a practicing psychotherapist for over 20 years. I have lived in Westford, Massachusetts for about 15 years, and recently my children are off in college, and my husband and I decided to downsize, so we sold our home, and we are living in Concord, Mass. Right now, and really making a real switch in our lives from family home to home for couple and visiting children.
Yeah, that's a huge switch, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Being in a similar situation myself with children. Our children are the same age.
That's
so.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
So great. So how about you in regard to work? Bring us back a little bit in time and tell what you've been doing for years, and then sort of we'll get to your transition.
Okay. So I have been a psychotherapist, as I said, for over 20 years, and I began by working in clinics and hospitals, and then decided that it was time to do private practice. And so I went into a private practice for about 5 years with a colleague of mine, and I loved my work. It was very satisfying. It's something that I always knew I wanted to do. I have to say, since I was in high school, I knew that I wanted to be a therapist.
Really?
I did.
You're one of those people, like growing up, you thought, I want to be a psychotherapist. I want to be a therapist.
I did. I just knew.
I
just had a knowing about that.
Huh.
And so that's what I did. And so I would say that about 5 years ago, I was feeling a little restless with my job. It's not like I didn't like it, but it felt to me like there was just something more that I could be doing with my clients. Talk therapy is wonderful and it's helpful, but what I found after doing this for years and years, that people just weren't switching. They weren't making shifts very quickly. You know, the old psychotherapist and being on the couch for 20 years, and that's not what I was doing, but people were in therapy for quite a long time.
Yeah.
So I was feeling like there needs to be something else. There has to be something else.
And so that many people refer to a little discontent, a little inner restlessness, a little, gee, I wonder if there's something more, even though in your case, everything was kind of fine.
Yes, that's right. Everything was fine. but I wanted more than just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us, when we reach a certain age, we sort of feel like, well, if I don't do something now, when will I ever?
That's right.
Really?
That's right.
Right.
You begin to think about, the rest of your life and
Yeah.
how you want to be spending it.
Yeah. And the imprint, the difference you want to make. So you were saying that clients were, talk therapy is good, but not making as much shift. So really, the restlessness was around how to help others in your case.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And how to empower others
Yeah.
to make changes in their lives.
So tell us a little bit what happened. So you had this inner restlessness, and then what did you do?
Well, so once I realized that I really wanted to make a change, things just started happening for me. I have a colleague who was telling me a little bit about emotional freedom technique, which is an energy psychology process. And many people know about that now, and it's becoming very popular. And so I decided that I would look into that. I went on the website, and at the time it felt overwhelming. There was so much information. But I knew that it was something that I might want to pursue. And I would say about a year later, I was on my computer, and somehow in my email, there was a woman in New Hampshire who had sent me an email that she was doing an introductory training to emotional freedom technique. And I just said, this is it. I've got to do it. Now is the time. And she quickly enrolled me for that weekend, and I went off for the weekend, and I studied and trained with her to begin to incorporate emotional freedom technique into my practice.
That's great. Do you want to say anything more about what it is and how it works?
It is what it is. It's a way of tapping on energy meridians in your body to shift you out of whatever is happening. It actually originated, Gary Craig is the originator of this, and it actually was being used on Vietnam vets who had post-trauma. And when they were undergoing this treatment, they found that they shifted very quickly out of post-trauma and were able to function.
That's interesting.
And then it carried over into the psychology world, and it is really taking off. So it really is a matter of just tapping on different areas on your face, which turns out to be meridian points on your body. And so I began using that in my practice, and I couldn't believe it. I was watching people switching out of anxiety issues and depression much more quickly. And the beauty of it was they could learn how to do this on their own.
Isn't that
that
great?
they could, when they left therapy, or even while they were in therapy, if they were in a situation, they could heal themselves.
Which doesn't make you relying on the therapist to do all of the work
That's
for
right.
you.
That's right.
It puts a little more responsibility on you and gives you a little control over your own
Absolutely.
destiny. All good, right?
All good.
All
All
good.
good. And I always believe that I don't heal anyone. People heal themselves. And so that really fit my idea of what healing should look like.
Yeah, interesting. So when clients come now, you do both as you refer to it as talk therapy and energy healing?
I do, but after I did the emotional freedom technique, I was introduced to Donna Eden's modality, and again went online and noticed that she was doing a 5-day workshop. So I went to my husband, I said, I'm going to Florida for 5 days, I have to do this. And that was really life-changing for me. First of all, being around her is just joyful, and she's just a remarkable woman. But I took it a few steps further, and this training for energy medicine is much more profound, I think, in many ways. And so I learned a lot those 5 days. I knew that this was it. This is really where my practice was going. And then shortly after that, there was a 2-year certification program. And I went home from Florida, and I went to my husband, and I said,
guess what?
I have to go to Arizona for 2 years, 4 times a year. I'm really sorry, but I have to do this.
But I'm going.
I'm going. And
So it was, what I want to point out for people is that you took steps.
Yes.
Right? So
That's right.
And how did you know each step was the right one for you?
I just knew. I have to say that it just resonated for me. I have been doing a lot of work on listening to myself, which many women, we grow up learning not to listen to our inner voices.
Yes.
And I just knew, I just had this feeling that this was really what I needed to be doing. This was my calling. This was going to be helpful in the world and healing of myself and other people. And it was just a knowing. But it was a process. It was a
Yes.
2 or 3 year process.
Yeah, so it takes time.
Yes, it does.
Right? Some people who think, gosh, I wonder what I'm going to do next. What I'm doing isn't quite fulfilling enough. It's not one day you'd think that and the next day you're in your next gig.
No,
Right?
no.
Because it's a little bit of a journey. So you have to have patience.
You have to have a lot of patience.
Right? You have to listen to yourself.
Right.
Your inner voice. And you call it a knowing. Different people call it different things. Some people say, I had a gut feel, or I was really interested in that, or I felt like excited about it, or any of those sorts of words.
Right, right. What I have found with other women that I have met through this program, it's they've had very similar experiences, as you know, with the women that you work with as well, that you're in a program or you're in an experience and all of a sudden you just know that you have to do this thing.
Yeah,
you
just can't help yourself.
You
really.
can't help it.
Yeah.
And there's no stopping you, really.
Right, you're going to do it anyway. And
do
you
it.
hope that the people in your life, especially your family,
Yes.
will support you.
That's right, that's
Because
right.
then it gets a little messy.
Well, you want to be sensitive to other people's needs in your family as well. But there's a way to make it happen.
Yeah, that's great.
Right.
And so you did all those steps. You went to the 2-year certification program. You're almost done?
I'm almost done.
almost
It's almost been 2 years. I have one more workshop to attend, and then I will be certified energy medicine practitioner.
Woohoo.
I know, I'm very excited.
That's great. And how will your life change then, do you think?
Well, I think I have been incorporating this all along with my clients and have had just great success. But now that I'm certified, it sort of gives you a feeling of really getting out there and spreading the word. I really want people to learn about this. I think Donna Eden has done an amazing job. She travels all over the world teaching energy medicine. I want to be out there too, so that people will learn and I can help them learn and empower them and help them make huge changes in their lives.
So you're not done.
No.
Right?
No.
In fact, listening to your story and knowing you as I do, that one could easily look at the last few years and say your goal was to be certified and feel masterful as an energy practitioner, healing practitioner. And now that you have done that and almost completed your certification, you're done. But in fact, you're not feeling done.
No, I'm feeling it's a beginning.
Yeah.
It's a beginning to start to think about all the directions I want to go with this and how I want to teach it and impact people. And I don't even know what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
But I know it's going to happen.
Yeah. Isn't it fascinating how
It
this sort of
is.
stuff works?
It
Oh my
is.
goodness. So tell us a few stories of people that you've worked with, that you've practiced on doing energy medicine or taught them how to do it, and talk about some of the shifts that they've seen, because this is a chance for you to educate some of our viewers as to what this is,
Yes,
and
yes.
It might be helpful.
I have, one of my clients came to me, I would say 2 months ago, and I have to say, she was in such despair and depression and had just given up, and I haven't seen anyone feeling this sad in a long, long time. But somehow she landed in my office, and she said, you know what, I've tried everything. I know this isn't going to work.
What a great way to start. Oh my God.
Well, I didn't listen to her, and I said, you know what, you don't have to know if it's going to work or not. You don't have to believe in it. But let's try it, and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And so I did some preliminary work with her, and we did some energy clearing and some balancing of her pathways and meridians, and she left and came back the next time, and she said, you know, I feel a little bit better, but she still wasn't convinced. Well, I will have to say, she came in a few weeks later, and it was as if I was looking at a different person.
Really?
She said to me, I feel good. I feel good. I feel like I'm connecting with people in my family, in my life, and myself. I feel joy. She goes, I don't know what happened. And of course what happened is that she had so many frozen energies in her body. Things just weren't moving. She had been stuck for so long. But this woman has embraced energy medicine, and she does all of her homework and practices and works on herself, and her life has been changed.
So one can really make a difference with how one feels or how one perceives things or looks at life or looks at a
Yes.
part of their life
Yes.
by
And
doing some of these practices.
that's right. And so it works on you emotionally and physically. As we know, the two always go together.
Yes.
And it works on both systems for your emotional health and physical health as well.
Well, how great is that?
Yeah, it's good.
And it must make you feel good that you have a solution, something that can help others.
Yes, it is a solution.
Yeah.
It is a solution that I resonate with and has been very powerful for other people.
Yeah. So any other, do you want to share another story that you have for someone who's come?
Well, yes, I also have a story of a woman who was just having chronic pain, back pain, and not really sure where that was coming from. Now, there were things that were going on in her life that can contribute to the pain, and letting go of that was a really hard thing for her to do. Somehow the pain was serving her, and I won't go into details about that.
Yes.
But we did a lot of energy medicine and emotional freedom technique on letting go of that pain, and that she really didn't need it anymore. And with time, her pain is gone. It's just gone.
That's amazing.
Yes, it is.
And how many treatments does it take for people?
That's a great
depend?
question. Yeah, it's a really good question. It really depends. It really depends on what the person is coming in with, and individually who they are and how much work they do at home.
Yes.
But it certainly isn't the old days when they're in therapy for years and years and years by any means. So I would say it could go anywhere from 2 or 3 treatments to maybe 15 or 20. Some people look at it as if they're going to the dentist. When something comes up after they're feeling better, they just may need to come in and
for a
have some work and have a little check.
Yeah,
Right.
a routine check.
Right.
Yeah. And so is there a particular kind of issue or particular kind of chronic condition that this energy medicine works best with?
It works on just about anything. I do have some clients. I have clients with Parkinson's disease that I am doing work with. I have clients with Crohn's disease, which has just been really effective with as well.
Yeah.
So autoimmune issues really, really benefit from energy medicine. Everything from something more chronic to more acute issues as well.
Well, the range is huge.
It is enormous.
Huge.
It is enormous. And so if anyone is dealing with anything in their lives, it's definitely worth trying something alternative, particularly if you want to take charge of your health.
Yeah.
The days of going and getting pills and being worked on really are shifting in our culture.
Yeah.
People really want to be in charge of their health and themselves and feel empowered. And this fits right into that model. And I think within the next years, you're going to see more and more of this. It's not going to feel so alternative anymore.
Well, right. I mean, look at all of the alternative things that are becoming a little more mainstream.
That's right.
Something as common as acupuncture or
That's right.
different kinds of massage or Reiki, which you never even heard. I mean, some people
Right.
probably still don't know what Reiki is, but it's an energy medicine technique. And so there are lots of things that one can supplement their
Yes.
medical care
Yes.
or start with or whatever.
And physicians are starting to come around. I get referrals of anxiety with kids, and kids so resonate with this.
It's probably easier for them because
They have less baggage.
Right, exactly.
And they just shift so quickly.
Yeah.
For anything in terms of anxiety or depression or learning issues. Right.
So let's go back to you for a minute and your journey. So I think in general that it takes courage to move into a new area, to hear the calling, feel restless, do something about it, where you're actually taking action. And so I'm wondering if in your life you felt like you were courageous or it required some courage on your part, and if so, what was that?
Oh, yes.
I guess that
It
was a
required
good
a lot of courage. Well,
so?
the courage to make such a change and a shift. We all tend to go back to our old patterns and ways of doing things, don't we?
Yeah.
They feel safe, even though they may not make us happy. And so being able to say, I don't want to do this anymore, was a little scary for me. And after I made the decision to do this, then I would say, oh my God, are you going to be able to, how are you going to do this? How are you going to do this in your life? How are you going to fit it in? How are you going to learn all this material? What kind of impact is it going to have on you and your family?
Right. How are you going to leave your family 4 times a year?
Right.
For 2 years?
For 2 years.
Right, that's
I don't
huge.
think I really thought that through initially.
Would
I
it
guess
have mattered?
I didn't want to. Yeah.
Right.
And so, yes, there were times where I've been a little scared.
Yeah.
and a little wondering, wow, what does this all really mean? But you know, it doesn't last very long.
Well, that piece of it, right? So you had some questioning or unsureness around, can I learn this? Is this the right step, but how is this
Right.
going to work?
That's right.
And the impact it's going to have on me, my work, my family. And so now that feels better, but I bet there's some doubt and questioning around the next thing that's coming.
Oh yes.
Right?
Yes, it's the same feeling. Where is this going to take me? Or where am I going to take it?
Right.
And how is it going to impact me? And the way that I try to deal with that when I'm in a really good place,
Yeah.
after I do some energy
I was
work on
gonna say,
myself,
right.
is I'm going to wait and see. It's going to happen. And I just have to wait for clues and follow the energy around it.
There you go.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
it's good you're in the business you're in so you can see or feel the energy, because most of us don't have a sense of what that is.
Yeah, well, I think
So-
everyone has the ability
Yeah.
to have a sense of it. But yes, when you're in it, you do develop a higher sense of that.
Yeah. And I also want to point out that doubt, self-doubt, is part of the process.
Yes, it is.
So for some of us, feeling unsure and a low self-confidence about a particular part of the puzzle, it's normal.
Yes, it is.
It's part of how we move through, is dealing with the fear. So I say, notice that you're scared to death and take a step that you would be comfortable in taking.
That's right.
Or notice the fear, do it anyway.
That's right.
Oh well.
Oh well. Really and truly, when you think about the very worst thing that can happen, nothing terrible is going to happen as a result. And how will we ever grow and change in
That's
our
true.
lives if we don't take these risks?
Exactly.
Right.
So would you like to demonstrate some technique for us, for viewers, so
Yes,
they can
yes.
do some work on themselves?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
So there is Donna Eden has a 5-minute energy routine, and I'm going to show you just one little part of it. And even this will help you have more vitality and energy and feel better. And so
that's the purpose of it, right?
That's the purpose, for vitality and energy, and help your autoimmune system. You know, there's so many viruses and flus
Right,
going around right now, so this will be helpful for you.
Great.
To do this, and it will
Okay.
probably take 1 minute. So what you're going to do is, if you feel where your collarbone
So be
is.
careful of your mic.
Okay.
Right.
There we go. Right. Thank you. I would have ripped it right off probably. So you feel your collarbone right here, and right underneath there's some little tender points, like a little dent.
Yeah.
And everyone's is in a different place. And what you want to do is you want to thump these points.
Okay, and not too hard because of our
Okay,
mics, right?
We're going to
for
thump.
today.
I'm going to pretend, but you can thump. You can thump very hard if you want to.
Right.
These are your kidney 27 points. This is your kidney meridian, and this just brings up lots of energy. That particular point really has impact on all your meridians in your
Really?
body.
So just
massage
thumping.
or thump, right? Okay.
Okay.
And then you're going to go to your thymus gland right here, and it's right on your breastbone, and you're going to thump that area too. Now, if you feel like you're going to get sick, you just thump that. Just thump it and massage it on and off all
Like
day
colds,
long.
flu, that kind of stuff?
Anything. If you're feeling, if you feel like things are just, you're feeling that scratchy throat, or you're just not
Yeah.
feeling well, so massage your thymus. And the last is your spleen meridian. It's one rib right below your breast area, and you massage or thump in there. This is great for your immune system. It's great for metabolizing your food. So if you've eaten something really bad for lunch, you just massage under here. It will help metabolizing also. And so just those 3 things. If you just do those 3 things, it will make a difference.
That's great. So thumping here.
Thumping
on
your thymus, right
or
between,
massaging.
or massage, right?
Right.
And right underneath the breast area, all the way
On the
around the
side.
breast. It's also great for breast health. It releases lymph in that area,
Yeah.
and it's really good for breast health for women.
And so men and women can do this
Oh, yes.
technique.
Oh,
right?
yes.
It's not just for women.
Not just for women. Thank
Right.
you for making
Children.
that. And children. The kids that I see love doing this stuff. They just really think it's a really fun thing to do. But it's very helpful for everybody.
This is a perfect time of year for this, with all the stress
Yes.
around the holidays and the winter, depending on
Mm-hmm.
where one lives. But we live in the Northeast, where winter is here,
Mm-hmm.
and cold and dark and gray. And a lot of people have that, no light syndrome.
Yes.
Where they feel a little more depressed
That's
and
right.
a little inner and quiet and so forth. So
Yeah.
this is a good time of year for
Yes,
something like
it
this.
is. It's a perfect time of year. It's good all the time, but particularly when we're feeling more vulnerable.
Yeah. So, what's the struggle in the few minutes that we have left? What's the struggle that you're facing next that might be helpful for other people to hear your story as they're struggling with their own?
Well, I'm not sure that I'm looking at it as a struggle.
Well, that's probably a good thing.
I think I'm looking at it more as a challenge.
That's a good reframe.
You know, not knowing, not exactly knowing where we're going to go next is unsettling, is it not?
Yes, so true.
And even though...
But we could thump.
But we can thump.
We would feel
and there's so many other things you can do. This is just a tip of the iceberg.
Right.
But I think just trusting, trusting that you're going to be okay, knowing that you don't have to know is really huge.
Yeah.
And just really listening to that inner voice.
That's
if it's
good.
telling you to move on, or if it's telling you, no, maybe this is not the right time, just to listen and to know that this is all very exciting. I think when we feel that sense of being unsettled, that's an exciting time.
Yes.
It is.
Yes, for sure.
Even though we're scared.
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
Right.
So, Lynn, in a few minutes left, why don't you give your website and say where your office is, so in case people want to find you.
Okay. So, of course, my practice is called Pathways to Change. It's in North Chelmsford, 51 Middlesex Street. It's in a beautiful mill building.
And your URL on your website is
www.pathwaytochange.us.
Great. Well, thanks for that.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that you were here today. I think that people can benefit not only knowing about energy medicine, because I think personally it's made a huge difference in my life, and I've combined it with a lot of medical things that come up from time to time, and just sometimes feeling crummy and out of sorts, and it helps get realigned.
Yes.
And as you know, I've been to you and had you treat me many times, and it has made a huge difference. So I think that's been really helpful. I also think what's been really helpful is having an idea of what people feel like and think about as they go through change.
Yes.
And I think that's really makes people feel like they're not the only ones.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for being here.
Well,
it was
thank
such a pleasure to have
you.
you here, and
It
as
was-
always, we have fun together.
We do. It was delightful. I'm honored that you had me on your show.
Thanks. So you've just gotten a chance to hear Lynn talk about her path to making a change in her life and discovering an emerging gift and talent in her life around her energy medicine work. And if you're having trouble getting started yourself with figuring out what's next for you, here's an idea to get you started. Gather a small group of friends or colleagues together, ones that know each other well and know you well, who are also in a place in their lives trying to figure out what they might want to do next. And start by focusing on one person at a time by listing all of the strengths and special talents that this one person has. And then taking turns and rotating, focusing specifically on the things you know that lights them up and gets them jazzed. And this process is a great way to generate some new ideas as they notice some patterns and that might give them clues to what's next in their life. And if you like what you saw today and you want to know more about what's next for you, I have some resources for you. First, if you're a woman listening in our audience and you're not too far from Andover, Massachusetts, you can join us for Girls' Night Out gatherings, conversations for women that matter, on the first Monday of every month at 7 to 9 p.m. And to find out more and to register, go to our website. By the way, it's free at www.themagicparties.com. And registration and information is on our events page. It's a free evening to help you identify what blocks you from living your best life. If you have questions about our show today, email us at info@themagicparties.com or go online for some free support and inspiration. A big thank you to Lynn Rothstein for being our guest today, and to Pete and Roger and Kevin, our intern, who makes this all possible. And thanks to you, our listeners. You are meant to go forth in the world to use your gifts and talents and have a little fun exploring what's inside of you waiting to burst forth. Wake up to what's next in your life and join us next time as we continue to help you discover the magic of you.